Okay, go ahead, Candace.
Okay, yeah. So I just got my book. So I went to the dentist and they were saying something about my gums and how I needed deep cleaning. And I couldn't really figure out why it was bothering me so much. Like I know that I don't want needles, so that kind of hit like a trigger point for me. But it was something else that was so deep. So I prayed and I was trying to just ask God, what is this? Can you please just show me what it is that why am I feeling this way and what is it that you want me to do? And so I'm like, well, I'm just casually looking through my book one night because I just got it, so I'm excited, getting ready for bed. And I'm like, let me go here. And the page actually flips over to the section in the G section where it talks about different body parts. And it says gums. And it goes into all the issues that's connected to the emotions with your gums. And it was so on point. And then I go to the oils, what oils I could use, and it turns to clove. And everything that it describes in clove is exactly what I've been dealing with and exactly what I need to kind of release and, just improve. And I was just so thankful for the book at that point. I was just so grateful. But I always connect things back to God, that God gave me that resource. That is not just the oil, but it's God leading me to all these different resources. So I was so excited.
Yeah, I agree. It's I believe that it means that you're open, your connection to God is open, and then you're listening, and then that's how you're finding it.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, it worked. The connection is open.
Yes.
I know, it's amazing.
It really is.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So is it okay if I read what it says for gums? Because I'm sure other people are interested. Now I'm like, I gotta read it.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
Go for it.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. I'm not the only one that has to do that. Especially when I'm on camera, I get a little bit flustered. Oh, I'm in the emotions. I gotta go to body. Okay. Here we are. Okay, so it says for gums, it's moving forward with decisions. Angry, indecisive, bitter, and distrusting. Those are the key adjectives for emotions. And then the look deeper question, do I trust my own opinions, preferences, and choices? What voices am I listening to that cause me to doubt my decisions? Oh, that is a thing. So what did you do with that? Did you decide you're going to journal or?
So the first thing I'm doing is I'm stepping up my oral hygiene. I'm not necessarily just trying to go with the deep cleaning because it's a lot of pros and cons to deep cleaning. And so I'm looking more on a spiritual level. So I know that the essential oils from doTERRA, they are very potent and can go into your bloodstream. So I believe that if I follow an oral hygiene routine, that those oils will penetrate into my gums and I will not need a deep cleaning as long as I'm consistent. The other thing is that I am in therapy. So just really working through those specifics that's listed in there associated with clove oil and everything else, I'm going to go ahead and now I have like a key focus on what it is that I want to work through in therapy sessions.
That's smart.
Yeah, it was really eye-opening.
That's cool. Sorry, you're oil pulling with the clove?
I am oil pulling with clove oil, but then I found that oregano oil was actually the best oil to use when you want to do oil pulling to get rid of bacteria. So oregano oil, but then I'll take the clove oil, I'll take some virgin coconut oil, cold pressed, and put 2 drops of clove oil in that and just rub it along my gums.
That's smart.
Yeah, so I really believe it's going to work. And then I'll just go and get a cleaning, but I'm not going to do a deep cleaning right now.
Yeah. No, did you know that clove oil, it's forget, it's really high on the ORAC scale of oxygen.
I did not
So
know that. I don't even know what an Aurochs is.
yeah, I'll have to look up what the acronym is of it, but it's how they measure how much oxygen something brings into your body, like like they'll say antioxidant, like how it, because oxygen kills bacteria, and clove is one of the parts per million of oxidizing. So I
Oh,
think
yeah,
that's
okay.
pretty amazing. And also look into 33% peroxide.
33% peroxide. Okay. And what do I do with that?
You would do like seriously like 1 drop or 2 drops in your oil pulling mixture. And it comes in a bottle like this. And then you have to you have to keep it in the fridge, or you have to like keep it in a spot where it's going to be like really controlled environment. Like you can't switch it temperatures.
Okay.
So, but that's what I would add to what you're doing.
Okay, 33% peroxide.
Yeah.
And then can you just repeat the ratio that you gave?
It's like 1 drop.
Okay.
So
All
just
right,
add
one
it to
drop.
your olive oil
Yeah, coconut oil. I use coconut oil.
and how your oil pulling.
Okay.
The only reason I know is because I've had friends with major gum issues, and they've had to do like where they cut.
Yeah, that's a deep cleaning. I
Yeah,
know.
I know it's
Ugh.
freaky. But yeah, when they like those biological dentists, the holistic dentist people, they actually inject oxygen into those areas to kill the bacteria. But I mean, the way you're talking, because your body is permeable, so you can be working on it like how you are.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you could do me a favor and send me some of those resources that you just talked about, the natural dentist, or I would rather pay for that route. So if you don't mind, I can drop my email in the chat.
Yeah, you know what? Can you text me? Here, I'll
Yeah,
put my phone
sure.
number real quick, and you just text me, and then I will send it to you. Most towns have a biological dentist or within an hour. So, but anyway, I'm so excited. I have a topic I wanted to bring up, and it's about expectations in relationships. And I know that's like a really big one. And how do we take care of ourselves and grow our awareness of when we have those kind of like trauma triggers, and leading down the path of like figuring out like, okay, I'll give you an example. I'm in therapy too. I'm in couples therapy, and then I'm in just my own thing. And it's with a special therapist that specializes in PTSD. And I find it very interesting because when I tell him something, he goes, okay, so he knows that my primary caregivers are my parents. Other people's is different, but I had a mother and a father. And he goes, so who did that? Was that your mom or your dad? And he asked that often. And it leads me down these rabbit holes where I'm able to kind of go, oh, wow, that was from my mom, and she did that. And we're all raised, in your 18 years, you have this mold of what's normal.
Based on what they.
Huh? What'd you say? Oh, I couldn't. Never mind. So yeah, you're given this mold of what's normal. And we don't realize that we're always kind of trying to recreate what's normal in our environment. Does that make sense what I'm saying, you guys? So say I grew up very poor, and my expectation was that I would stay poor. I was afraid of losing money. And then all of a sudden I had money. I might create instances of fear and lose money because I'm subconsciously trying to get back to what's normal. That's just an instance of a certain kind of sabotage. Or if I had a relationship, I watched my parents fighting all the time. I might have a kind of a trauma response where I'm defensive a lot of the time within my primary relationships because that's what's normal. Do you see what I mean? So what I've been working on is what expectations I have with my relationship. So my parents, my dad was a workaholic and my mom was a chronic fixer. She's got to fix everybody. And that was how she kept her from dealing with her own emotions, is she would concentrate on everybody else. So for me, it's very easy for me to I went with what my dad did. So I can just go straight into work and I can't concentrate on anything else. Family,
Recording in progress.
one track mind. Oh, it's doing this weird echo thing. Do you guys hear the echo thing? Or only me? I don't know. Okay, it was only for a second. So when my husband wants me to concentrate on something, I can't because I'm in work mode. And if I stop, then I feel failure. You hear, oh, is it still echoing, Lynn? No. Is it okay, you guys recording? Thumbs up. Okay. Let me know if it echoes. So I'm just trying to follow this rabbit hole of not letting myself get stuck in a one-track mind where I can't be emotionally available for other people. And then when somebody tries to derail me, like trying to get me like to concentrate on something else, what is my trigger on that, you know? So I know that that's a lot and I'm trying to make sense of it. And what I'm doing to ground myself and figure all this out is using my oils and then writing it down in kind of an inventory. So like I have categories, I've got expectations, I've got avoidances, and then I've got individual people. So I just kind of write it down what pops in my head, and that way I can look at it and I get an idea of what's going on. And then I can pray about it like, okay, am I done with it? Am I done with this now? You know, like I don't need this in my new life. I'm casting a new mold for me and what my new normal will be. And I can leave behind the old mold. So my oils of choice for helping me connect and ground with my higher power, because I can get stuck in my little bubble and it doesn't let God in, and how I can open myself back up to be able to clear this stuff and be proud of myself for having an awareness of why I react a certain way to certain people and situations. So I don't keep doing it. So I've been using rose and cardamom and I'm really into it. The rose gives me like this sweet comfort, and the cardamom helps me release the energy around it. And I think it's because I've built up a lot around my heart and my chest. So this is where I'm at right now. But I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that, what that brought up for you, or what you're dealing with that you'd like to share.
I deal with that anytime my family's around because I'm trying to move out of 5 storage units into a house. I'm the only one doing it. And when my family comes to be family, I just can't, I get super anxious because I'm not being productive in that area. And I need to take more time off, but I'm stuck.
So you're what is that called? I know exactly what that is. So you've set yourself up a little bit. It's where you don't want them to distract you. And so the distraction is keeping you from connecting with people.
Right, because I'm like super focused. It's just I have to get. It's just I have this pile of boxes in front of me, and I'm not doing anything else to get like wins along the way in my day and getting other things done. So I have no throughput. And I'm gonna try the rose and cardamom. Sounds good. So when do you do that? After you feel anxious, or I guess I could diffuse it when people are gonna come around me and try to derail me and get me off my task.
Yeah. I would sit and set an intention and go, okay, I know my daughter's coming over, or I know this person's coming over, and I want to give them my undivided attention for 30 minutes. And that way you can kind of let go of what you were doing so that you can connect with them. So what I do is I am gonna stop and I'm gonna ask God, like, can you please help me to be present? So, and then, you know, like it's not the end of the world. This person is more important than me clearing these boxes. Because if you died today, those boxes are still gonna be.
Right. Somebody said they'll still be there. So it's not like you're missing an opportunity. And I do this with my husband. He's an over the road driver. He's gone for 6 weeks and he comes home and I'm still like focused on my job here when I should be focused on him. And I'm afraid it's hurting our relationship. So
Yeah.
I just
I
have to
would
stop.
write a list of what you're avoiding with these people. Because if you're using the mess to focus away from people, what are you avoiding? It's
I'm just not prioritizing them.
yeah. Is it because you have put it in your mind that you can be a better person once all this is cleaned up?
I'll be happier.
But you'd be able to connect with them once there's not a mess?
Yeah, because I can relax.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure, my friend. A lot of pressure. I would try and do the where you're gonna stop and diffuse and ask God for help. Can you please help me focus so I can see what it is I can, be present with this person, and let the oils soften you to allow that. Because I know it's like you put some walls up so that you're like, I'll be able to do these things once this is done. But imagine like a social worker and they have piles and piles and piles of files. You only have 9 to 5 and those files are going to pile up again. I hope that helps.
Well, I've started getting into a routine where first thing in the morning, I sit down with my planners. And if I can write things down, then they aren't so overwhelming. So I'm trying to get back on that kind of a routine again. But I have to break up what I do because I can't just sit here and do the whole thing all the time. And if I have appointments, then it blows the whole day and then I get all agitated. And anyway, like you said, I have to ask God.
Yeah. And look at the expectations you have on yourself. Maybe they don't need to be there. So, well, that was good. Thank you for sharing. That's, it's hard to get that out. So I think just doing that maybe that cleared some clutter from your mind and you'll feel better. So I wanted to share another thing that's really helping me is I'm really, really into turmeric right now. Turmeric, my mom was telling me about this. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's a cancer hospital in Southern California called City of Hope. And it's like massive, like it's the size of like, where's the Pope live in Italy? In the Vatican. It's like the size of the Vatican. Like this is how big this place is. But she was telling me on their website, and her oncologist was saying, the people that can't deal with chemo, they put them on a turmeric regimen. And I don't know. I'm like, well, everyone's allergic to chemo, and so how do they know they can't tolerate it? So they must almost die. Maybe that's why they're like, oh well, you'll just die if we do it. But turmeric is so anti-cancer and also anti-COVID. So these are private calls. I mean, so this isn't going to go public or anything. I can't say this on a public platform, but those are like the two big reasons of why I'm taking it. It makes me feel comfortable in my body, but also emotionally, I'm going to tell you what turmeric does. And it's pretty crazy. I think it's going to make you guys excited. Let me find it.
What book are you reading?
This one is the Essential Emotions book. There's an app if you don't want to wait for it to come in the mail. And they updated it.
Is that what you read the gum thing about from?
I love it when things are physically good for you and also emotionally. Turmeric is for restoration. Turmeric repairs individuals physically, mentally, and emotionally. It has powerful properties that reach into damaged or blocked aspects of the self to restore what has been temporarily lost. Turmeric is a powerful antidote for those who feel paralyzed by the inherent dangers of life or by loss of function or freedom they once took for granted. It is particularly beneficial when one feels weighed down due to personal tragedies or loss of confidence in abilities. Turmeric offers strength and hope to ground individuals during times of upheaval or significant change. Turmeric can also restore one's faith in goodness. It reminds that for good or bad, each person occupies a unique role in the unfolding destiny of the world. In a season where atrocities are committed and heartless events unfold without meaning or seeming consequence, exposures to the misdeeds of others can cause faith in humankind to grow cold. Turmeric restores belief that most individuals choose to act as agents for good, despite the associated risk. The strong warmth of turmeric provides stability for the wavering heart and foundation of trust that people are capable of good and progress is always possible. So sweet. Isn't it like right now, all this like conspiracy stuff, it does like make you like your faith in humanity wavers. Like after I had COVID, I was so angry with China. I'm like, why would you allow this lab to leak this? This is crimes against humanity. And I do think that illness gives us an opportunity to wipe our slate clean, and it also reveals deeper emotion that can be released. So if you're in a situation where you have strong emotions, I do think that it's God giving us an opportunity to clear it. So if we look at it in what lesson can I be learning today from what I feel, and what can I let go of? That was kind of more of my quasi resolution. I'm really not into resolutions. It's never worked for me. I've always felt that it was too much pressure. I don't like pressure. And I don't know. Do you guys have thoughts on the new year? Did you feel like you're not going to do resolution this year feeling?
Never do resolutions because it takes too much effort to figure out what I want to do. So I just sit on the train and go.
Yeah, I mean, this year I was thinking to myself, what can I let go of? Because right after I had COVID, so it took like 2.5 weeks to really get over it. And now I've got a stuffy nose. I had jaw pain and neck pain before COVID. And because I was so sick, I had to surrender. I was forced to surrender. And this is what happens to me every time I get very ill. It's the only way that I can possibly let go of all the pressure I put on myself is when I'm forced. And this time it was so severe, obviously, because of COVID crap. And all my pain went away. It's such a revelation to have such a big change. And a friend of mine said to me, it's because surrender eliminates pain. And I'm like, oh my God, that is so freaking true. As soon as you surrender, like, I need help and I can't do this on my own. I need to pray. I need God. I need people. Then I can't do this on my own. I'm not perfect. I never was. The expectation that I was is not true. And you just let it in, the healing will begin. So
I
I'm
really
sure.
appreciate you sharing that. I wondered if I could share it as well.
Yes.
This is Shannon. And the first time I was on the call, this is my second time, and I invited Candace today. And the first time I was on a call, I was crying so much I kept putting my video off because everything was touching me. And what you just said touched me as well. Surrender, eliminating pain, because I'm actually at the point of God wanting me to surrender. And when I was looking up the oils for surrender, it was wintergreen, spikenard, sandalwood, and a barvite. But what I wanted to share, I was on a call the other day, and I don't know if any of you are aware of this article called Regrets of the Dying. And so like there were 5 regrets that people tend to have. And we had to do a little exercise, like which one are we dealing with? And the one that I chose was, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. So one of the ladies was sharing today, and I guess the challenge I have is I don't want to be lazy or irresponsible. So when I call myself like letting things go, or I feel like I'm being lazy or I'm not being responsible, and that's not exactly true. So that's kind of what I'm working through. But you sharing what you shared about surrender was very helpful. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's so interesting. I have a similar feeling because for years and years, my mom has been telling me, why don't you slow down? And to me, slowing down means failure. I'm like,
Yes.
why would I do that? And my whole life, my mom never sat down. She would never sit. It's like we would make fun of her. She had a wet rag attached to her hand with chewing gum in her mouth, and she's walking around the house. What can I clean now? And then she got into her 60s and she's like, oh, now I get it. I'm going to sit and read and let my brain decompress. And so, I mean, I'm 34, I'm turning 35 soon. I really would like to take that lesson much sooner. And I want to accept the lesson that God has put in front of me of like, will you slow down? Like you can still be productive and you can still be successful if you work smarter, not harder. And I have a feeling, Deidre, you've been getting distracted. You might be like me with a squirrel thing. And so then your time ends up going like this. because you're not being productive in a short amount of time instead of spreading it out too far. So that's something that I've had a big problem with. So I've been praying that God, please help me be productive in a short period of time so that I can allow myself to let go and be present with my relationships. So, and I am also working on communicating my needs with other people. My husband, I'll share something with him like, oh man, I was watching this hoarding show last night and it really made me think about like, I got to get rid of these piles of things. I've got like in my bathroom cabinet, it's just like full, like half-used products that I'm like, I just got to throw it away. All right. Like, that's it. Like, I'm never going to use it. I just keep thinking I'm going to use it and I won't. And he goes, yeah, it's really bad. And it bugs me. I don't like when I share a vulnerable thing and then somebody confirms it. It puts me way defensive. So I want to be able to communicate, like, I want to share something with you that I was feeling, but I'm really not open to feedback or criticism. I just would like you to listen. So I need to say things like that before I share with somebody so that they don't just like automatically break a boundary for me. So it's creating better communication boundaries with other people. Or like if somebody comes over and I'm thinking to myself, oh, I need to hurry up and clean and I have this expectation and I want them to think I'm a clean person. I need to stop and go, okay. People care the most of how they feel and not what you say as much. So if they come in and I'm really stressed out and they can tell I'm really stressed out, then they're not going to want to stay anyway, even if it was dirty, you know? So if I go, okay, I'm going to stop and I'm going to breathe and I'm going to say to them, I was kind of stressed out before you got here, but I'm going to set an intention to try and calm down. Would you drink some tea with me and let's sit? Like that's something that I would really like to learn how to do, to tell people the truth instead of like being like, oh no, I'm all put together. I promise. Your ears are shoulders for earrings. So anyway, just higher awarenesses. And I had a woman, she asked me, she was really concerned that I was sharing oils. She said, how is it that you can say rose is going to open your heart? I don't get how scientifically that works. She goes, how can you say these things like that just out there? You know, is it just somebody that made it up? Or, and the reason I bring it up is because somebody might say to you, and you might be able to say, this is my answer. God put these plants on this earth and they smell good and they elicit emotion and it brings chemical connections in your brain, right? We have positive feelings that are connected to scent. It's the fastest way to your memory is through smell. So if I am using these oils to get my synapses in my brain to work, and it also helps to ground me so that I can slow down and connect with God, then yeah, that's how scientifically it works. And that's how I'm telling. She's like, how can you say that? I'm like, well, if before I was using the oil and I was closed off from hearing anything, and then all of a sudden I'm calm enough, my body is not in fight or flight, I am in rest and digest, I am available to hear and feedback from other people and also listening to my inner voice, which is I recognize as my higher power, which I choose to call God. So yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. So moving into this house, we moved from California to Wyoming so I could be here and help my son. He has Hashimoto's and, I want him to get back to school and just not have him worry about working to eat. So we moved all this stuff into this house. He's totally flipped out and he lashes out at me like, Mom, just throw it all away. And so when he expresses that kind of emotion, I kind of just fight back, but I need something to help me, I guess, just absorb it and react in a different manner. I don't want to fight with him anymore, but he's overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. So this morning, I just started diffusing balance all over and just trying to keep kind of a copacetic environment here. But when people lash out at you, how do you shoulder that without just lashing back? Because it's only their emotion. And it shouldn't have to affect you so that you lash back at them.
Well, it's kind of like a Mr. Miyagi thing. Like Karate Kid. So Mr. Miyagi is like a wax on, a wax off. And it's being able to not react, it's respond. So your son is stressed out because he wants his mom to be able to be present. And the stuff around you is distracting you. And like, think about when you've cleaned your kitchen table off, there's nothing on the counter. And then you're like, oh, I could make something now. Like all of a sudden it clears your creativity. You know what I mean? And I've done it to many times with my kids. They have this craft table in the kitchen nook area that kind of piles up with their stuff, like all their school crap and then like toys or anything I don't want on the floor because the dog will chew it up. And as soon as I clear off that craft table, they're like, we should start drawing. And then they'll get something out and it clears the energy and it clears for like space to think. Maybe he needs a space in a living area where you can be with him and it's completely clear. Like, is there a table that can be completely clear? Even if you're working on something else, you can have one space that has nothing, no projects, so you can be available with him in that clear space. That's just a suggestion. And I should have said, would you like feedback before I answered? Because you could have said, no, not really. I just wanted a sounding board and I would have, but I didn't ask. So that was poor boundaries for me.
No, that was fine. And it's funny because he's been living up here, going to school for like 5 or 6 years. I feel like we're going through growing pains again. He is so super sensitive. It's like, where'd that come from? Because we're such a sarcastic family, but my sarcasm just kind of like hits him. And so we're just kind of learning about each other again, which is kind of, it's interesting. He's really good about it.
So I have this place that I go, it's called intherooms.com. And there's meetings you're in Wyoming, so it's mountain time. It's 5 o'clock. I think it's every day at 5 o'clock, or it might be several times a week. You'll have to go on there, but it's called Soul Sisters and there's Women Warriors. There's a couple different meetings in there. So you kind of you create a profile and then you just add what meetings you'd like to see. So Soul Sisters, Women Warriors, I recommend, it's called CODA, CODA, which stands for Codependence Anonymous. And that's my primary fellowship. So when I'm in there, it helps me figure out my relationships and what I'm trying to control so that because control doesn't exist. If control worked, you'd only have to exert your control once. It doesn't work. So ridiculous, right? This is the book that I recommend for people, anyone, really anyone. It's a little spiral green one. You can get on Amazon for like 10 bucks, 12 bucks. It is the Codependence Anonymous workbook. And it really just helps you figure out your way of thinking. It's just questions you answer. And it just brings a higher awareness of how you can respond and be around other people. And I highly recommend it. It's amazing. It really helps you figure out the ball of yarn of emotion that you're like, how do I figure out what the heck I'm feeling and how do I make it so I can understand other, like what's going on in your relationship, you know? It sounds like a power struggle. You know, that's what it is between your son and you. It's a power struggle. He wants you to do something, you want him to do something.
Yeah, and you know what? I've lived by myself for 3 years, I guess. And so all of a sudden there's this person in the house that knows what I do all day. And so it's just kind of, I'm kind of getting used to living with people, my family again. And not that I'm on the defensive, but I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I have my avoidance that I do. And I feel like I'm accountable for my whole day, which I don't think he really cares because he'll get up at 11 o'clock, eat breakfast, and then take a nap for 4 hours. And it doesn't bother him, it bothers me. But then he stays up until like 2 a.m. Anyway, it's this thyroid thing. But so I'm just getting used to people being able to see what I do all day and to be accountable again. In California, it was really easy just to go to Sam's Club or Costco because they're like 5 minutes away. But now they're between 45 minutes and an hour and a half away. It's kind of a good thing for me. But yeah, I just feel like I'm kind of under a microscope now, but it's something that I've conjured. I don't think anybody else cares what I do. So I'm just getting used to people again, I guess. But I have my friends at home and I don't have any friends here. So well, I used to do farmers markets. So I had my farmers market friends that I saw twice a week, and then I don't have them anymore. And so it's just a whole new life I'm trying to get used to out here.
Yeah. You know, so I mean, I can keep sharing because what you're explaining to me is so, oh my God, it's just, you would just love this community on intherooms.com. You'd love them. It is the support you're looking for. It's amazing. That's what I wanted to bring some of that into this, but I also want to do it in a way that has healthy boundaries. So yeah, I think you'll love it. It helps you realize that when we focus on other people, it's a way of avoiding our own stuff. And when we have projects that we use to keep away from other people, like for me, I am a workaholic. It's very easy for me to just keep working and I can justify it because I'm the breadwinner in the house. But my therapist said, what is it that keeps you from wanting to go home? And it's avoidance, because I don't want to sit and deal with my emotion, my family and my dynamics and all that stuff. So it's avoidance, and I've got a list going. So, and I'm not going to put myself down over it, because what it is that means that I have awareness that I didn't have before. Right? I'm not living in ignorance on something now. And so that is a win. Even if I backslide and then I catch myself, that's a win too, because it's awareness, you know? So something that a friend brought up to me is, because she's an energy worker, and a lot of energy workers will tell me, well, you don't really need to know what the emotion was. because it's gone now. And that I mean that it's like the easy way where they're like, it's gone now, you don't have to worry about it. I'm like, no. That was the easy way, okay? That doesn't build character and it doesn't give you awareness to why you did it or where it came from so that you don't do it again. You know what I mean? So that's why I really think it's so important for us to figure out where it came from and so that you don't use those PTSD reactions in our relationships now, because it's not from the present, it's from the past, from the old mold that we cast. And we want to recast new mold for healthy relationships and connection with God. And yeah, so I'm super into my cardamom and rose. I'm using it all over my chest. I will actually make a little like steam tent. So I'll do like the Polish grandma with the bowl of steaming water, and then I'll put like a drop of cardamom, and then I'll put a big towel and I'll just breathe it in my mouth and I'll breathe it in my nose. And I would not do that with oregano or lemongrass or what's another really spicy one, because you don't want to burn your upper respiratory.
Mint.
Peppermint, I think you could get away with. I wouldn't do oregano
Yeah.
or lemongrass.
So what is the difference between, like, that would be like a warm diffusing or a cold diffusing? Is there a difference in the way your system absorbs it or reacts to it?
Well, I'm talking about a more of a menthol type of reaction, because you're just trying to get it in your membranes quickly, but it will lose some medicinal quality when it's that hot. So it's gonna flash off faster. So that's why you need the tent to keep the molecules. When you do a cold like diffuser, like that big, do you guys have the big one, the Dawn, where it's got like a whole pitcher of water in it? That's cold. So it's a continuous, and it's going to hold the medicinal quality because it's not hot. So one is for like instant. That's why you got to hold it in with the tent. And one is long-term. But is there any other comments or something that you wanted to share before we close?
I hug the whole session, everybody.
Thank you for being our guinea pig.
Well, it's my first one, so, you know, here we go.
Yeah. Not everybody wants to talk, and I think it's a huge blessing when you do, because you're going to be lighter today and you'll have some things to think about so that you're not going to just explode and not know where it came from. You can step back and do a little Mr. Miyagi of like, okay, I'm aware now, and now I can respond. Which I know nobody likes it when you, for some reason, I guess there's like stigma, you're not allowed to do an Asian accent. And I always catch myself doing it. I just love it. And it's, I guess I don't know. My friend explained it to me. She said it's because in the movies in the old days, Asian accents, they made it seem like they were dumb, which they weren't. It's just that when they try to speak English, it sounds funny. And so then people would make fun of it, but I'm not. So I apologize if I've triggered anybody with my Mr. Miyagi accent. So, and Michelle says, respond, don't react. I appreciated. Thank you. Well, thank you all for being here. And Terry said, no resolution declared 2022, my year of focusing on my physical health. And Lynn said, I'm in the same situation, but the boxes will be there. Your family may not. I was not happier accomplishing my goal and then missed moments with my family and my relationships. Yeah, it's hard. We have stuff that distracts us, but now that we have awareness, then that's a huge win. So God bless you guys all today. And if you want, or let me put my phone number real quick in the text. Oh, you're welcome, Jacqueline. So you can text me if you want this recording. And somebody asked me for, Candace wanted the oil pulling stuff. So there's my phone number there if you want it. But thanks, guys. We'll see you next Monday.
Bye. Take care.
Bye. Thanks for coming, Shannon.
Bye, Kimmy.
Bye.
Love you. Talk to you
Love
soon.
you too.